Anyone who orchestrated an invasion of America cannot lead America. Kamala Harris, her reign of terror ends the day I take office. She's finished.
That was an exceptionally angry Donald Trump at what was an exceptionally weird rally tonight for a couple of reasons. The first of which being it was in the Coachella Valley in California, a strange place for Donald Trump to be holding a rally less than 30 days out from this election. But clearly his focus isn't on winning at this point, I guess maybe just grifting, and that's all he cares about. But it was also a pretty strange rally because, well, I guess we should expect it at this point. There were multiple instances of Donald Trump glitching out, being unable to speak and shocking his crowd. But that wasn't the only thing that left his crowd shocked. In the middle of this rally, we saw a heckler have to be removed, and it was Donald Trump's response that was really the most shocking part of it all, because what he said will absolutely stun you. He absolutely lost it after this heckler was removed, but we are going to check all of that out in just a second. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video and, if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button and join the community that we are building on this channel. It really goes a long way and means the world to me. Now let's get into some of this really angry and unhinged rally from Donald Trump.
And we will call it Operation Aurora. That's what we're going to, in honor of the people that have suffered in Aurora at the hands of this horrible gang, Operation Aurora. And if they come back into our country after we're going to throw them out so far you wouldn't believe it. But if they come back into our country, it's an automatic 10 years in jail with no possibility of parole. 10 years. And if that doesn't work, it'll be 20 years. And if that doesn't work, I guess it's going to be the death penalty, right?
I talked about just how especially angry and unhinged Donald Trump was at this rally. And I think this is the perfect shining, or maybe not shining, darkest example of that. Because he's talking about a death penalty for migrants. If people come into this country, Donald Trump says, we're going to give them 10 years, then 20 years, and is considering the death penalty. Violence is something he continued to bring up in this angry rally, as we'll continue to see. But let's just let this sink in. How disturbed has this person gotten? We see the rhetoric that Donald Trump is pushing about. Migrants continue to get angrier and more unhinged, and it is the reason why so many people are in danger in communities like Aurora, Colorado, or Springfield, Ohio, where Donald Trump is pushing these lies and putting people in danger. And of course, we cannot allow him to do that from behind the seal of the presidency, from inside the Oval Office. We absolutely can't. We can't allow these attacks and these lies to continue, especially ridiculous ones like this, right?
The vice president she picked. How about that guy? How about that guy? What the hell is wrong with our country? Right? Look, you know, we used to have the greatest, Abraham Lincoln, George. Now look at this stuff. Can you believe what we're doing?
So Trump tries to attack Tim Walz, tries to call him weird, or says that he's a bad VP pick. That fails, and so he pivots into just listing the names of presidents. This is what a Donald Trump rally has come to at this point. The messaging is so bad that he just starts listing stuff, whether it's Hannibal Lecter or his grievances with windmills, or he's talking a lot about rare earth metals lately. He doesn't know what he's talking about, he just loves to list stuff. But it's a perfect example of what Donald Trump's mindset is like, just trying to deflect, change topics, and distract, especially when we see him mess up his words, which happened quite a few times during the speech. And the most hilarious example can be seen right here.
I will very quickly deflate. We are going to take inflation and we are going to deflate it. We are going to deflate inflation. We are going to defeat inflation. We're going to...
What is he saying? We have to deflect inflation, and then we have to def-flute it, and then we have to defeat influ. It's not just a simple case of tripping over words, even though we see that more frequently from Donald Trump. Meanwhile, the mainstream media seems reluctant to address his cognitive state. That's fine. If they can't do their job, we will do it for them. But this is Donald Trump in a nutshell, tripping over his words and refusing to take any accountability for it. It's reminiscent of the Tim Apple moment, where he outright refuses to admit when he's made a mistake. His mind seems to function in one way: attack, lash out, and express anger and grievances. This pattern is becoming increasingly evident in his speeches. Earlier, I mentioned an incident where someone was removed, ostensibly for heckling. The MAGA crowd was booing them, and it felt like they were heckling Trump directly. He had to stop his speech, turning around to address the situation. As the person was being escorted out by security, he said something that will truly stun you. His anger and frustration were palpable. Let's take a closer look at what he said.
Back home to mommy. She goes back home to mommy. Was that you, darling? And then she gets the hell knocked out of her. Her mother's a big fan of ours. You know that, right? Her father, her mother.
It's not the first time we've heard Donald Trump's "knock the hell out of them" line, but saying that to someone being escorted out of his rally, booed by the crowd, raises serious concerns. You have to wonder, could that person potentially be in danger from an angry MAGA crowd? We've seen what these crowds are capable of before, and his response? Telling them to knock the hell out of him and go home to mommy. What is wrong with this individual? He simply cannot take accountability, and it's clear he doesn't care about the consequences of his words. His inability to accept responsibility stems from a fundamental disregard for how his actions impact others. This is evident in his lies about FEMA aid and relief for affected communities. He seems indifferent to whether people can access the resources they desperately need. All he wants to do is attack without any sense of accountability, just as he did in this moment.
Do you remember when a man, we're talking about this guy, Chris Christie, he went off the reservation, right? We have some people, and some guy shouts out to me, "He's a fat pig, sir." Nobody heard it but me, but it was still, he said it. Sir, you should not call Chris Christie a fat pig, please. He is not a fat pig. You shouldn't. You're very rude, sir. We're going to have to throw you out if you do it again. He is not a fat pig. And you know what? The press is saying, that son of a gun.
What have these speeches come to? He's claiming, oh, I didn't say Chris Christie is this thing. I didn't say Chris Christie is a pig. But then he adds, someone said that, and I'm just repeating it. It's astonishing. He acts like such a child. What's even crazier is that these moments often go unreported by the mainstream media. They seem to want to sanitize his words, likely planning to edit out his "inful flute inflation" comment and splice it together to present it as some sort of economic speech. But let's be real. It was nothing more than the ramblings of a child. This is the reality we're facing. It's the same old tired lies, just repackaged. And we can't ignore that truth, as frustrating as it may be.
These people coming in are taking the jobs of African Americans that have had it a long time. Their unemployment rate is through the roof. Where do you hear the numbers? And also Hispanic American at a little bit less clip. They're replacing people that have been in these jobs for a long time, doing a good job, not bothering anybody.
Are we really still doing the black jobs bit? It's astonishing that he's decided to stick with this outdated rhetoric. But what's even crazier is that he always tries to add a little spice to the same old story. So now, while he's still pushing the black jobs comment, he throws in a new twist. The implication that the people whose jobs are being taken weren't bothering anyone. What does that even mean? Are we to believe that most of the time people are just sitting idly by? What is he trying to say here? Honestly, I don't know, and I doubt he does either. It's evident he doesn't have a clear grasp of his own words in this moment.
And all across our nation, I make this pledge to you. November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. Liberation Day.
Because on November 5th, I believe we'll be liberating ourselves from you, Donald. You will be the one we vote to get rid of, sweeping you out of history and turning the page. We're a little fed up with the whole shtick. We've heard the same lies before, the same complaints over and over. Much like the people at your rallies, we'd like to leave early and fall asleep because we're tired of it. But of course, that's not what Donald Trump wants. He wants to keep pushing his angry rhetoric, embodying the very dictators he praised in this clip right here.
President Xi and myself, somebody said, what kind of a man is he? He's a fierce person. He is. He's a very smart guy. I hate to say brilliant because every time I call him brilliant, the press says, he said the president, well, he is a brilliant guy. Got 1.4 billion people. He rules it with an iron.
I have to say it again. How is this not being reported? His constant praise of dictators is alarming. He talks about wanting to rule with an iron fist, all while claiming he'll be tough on China, but then he turns around and praises their dictator. This is Donald Trump we're talking about, always looking up to strong men because of his own insecurities. That's what the projection is all about in these rallies, and it's also what his attacks on our democracy are rooted in. He's a child who is so furious about losing that he just can't control himself. This is a deranged individual who should be nowhere near the White House, and we must ensure that doesn't happen. We'll be doing just that on November 5th, and we'll be discussing it every single day on this show. If you want to support our efforts, as always, hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. And if you've stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments or just say, hi. I want to thank you for your support, and until next time, I'll see you soon.